Few realize that just one seemingly insignificant daily habit can subtly minimize the risk of developing up to 90% of the ailments that cause the most concern for modern individuals. This statement might seem astonishing, yet numerous scientific studies increasingly confirm what both ancient sages and prominent scientists of our time have asserted for centuries. An individual's health, it turns out, is primarily determined by their daily habits, rather than solely by genetic predisposition or pharmaceutical interventions. For people over 60, you've likely heard many prohibitions. Don't move like that. Don't forget to take your medicine. But what if there was something that could restore cognitive function, minimize the risk of cancer, help cleanse blood vessels, and even boost overall mood? We're not talking about a miraculous elixir or incredibly expensive devices. These are just 6 simple habits, so unassuming and commonplace that most people simply ignore them. Nevertheless, if performed daily, they can activate some of the body's most powerful self-healing mechanisms. It doesn't matter if someone is struggling with high blood pressure, cognitive sluggishness, or simply wants to feel full of energy again. These 6 habits have the potential to fundamentally change the situation. So, if you're tired of witnessing the seemingly inevitable decline of vitality with age, considering it just part of the aging process, then it's time to start making changes. The first and most crucial step is morning hydration. This habit is surprisingly simple, yet often goes unnoticed. Just drink a full glass of clean drinking water immediately after waking up. You might be surprised how much benefit such a common action can bring, especially for people over 60. During nighttime sleep, the human body is in a state of water deficit for 6 to 8 hours. This is an excessively long period of dehydration, especially critical for vital organs such as the brain, joints, heart, and blood vessels. Most people wake up in the morning in a state of moderate dehydration, and such a dry start triggers a cascade of negative processes: slow digestion, increased blood viscosity, impaired concentration, and heightened inflammatory reactions throughout the body. Why is this so critical for cognitive function, cancer prevention, and normal circulation? The reason is that dehydration manifests itself very insidiously. It slows blood circulation, forcing the heart muscle to work under increased load, and limits adequate oxygen supply to brain tissues, which causes brain fog and increased forgetfulness. Dehydration also weakens the body's natural detoxification mechanisms, the liver and kidneys, which are a key line of defense against toxins and potentially cancerous cells. Numerous scientific studies convincingly demonstrate that chronic dehydration is associated with an increased risk of kidney stone formation, urinary tract infections, and certain cancers, particularly bladder and colorectal cancer. However, here's what's remarkable. Starting the morning with 1 or 2 glasses of clean water can almost instantly change the functioning of your entire body. This action boosts metabolism, helps eliminate toxins accumulated overnight, and gives blood optimal fluidity, thereby reducing the load on the cardiovascular system. For older adults who experience morning joint pain or have difficulty getting out of bed, this simple habit can significantly improve their morning well-being. You can think of it as a kind of reset button before your morning coffee, before breakfast, before checking your phone. Just drink water. Some prefer to add lemon or a pinch of sea salt to restore electrolyte balance and gently stimulate digestive processes. This is perfectly acceptable, but plain water works just fine too. The key aspect is unwavering consistency. This is not a temporary measure. The human body needs this ritual every morning without exception. This habit promotes clarity of thought, facilitates bowel movements, allows you to feel a surge of vitality, and significantly strengthens the body's defenses. A hydrated body is, in essence, a more resilient and stronger organism. There's a known case of an 80-year-old man named Ivan, who started following this habit after his doctor diagnosed him with prehypertension. He changed almost nothing else in his lifestyle, but every morning he filled a tall glass with clean, filtered water, drank it slowly, and waited 10 minutes before having his coffee. After just 3 months, his blood pressure normalized, his energy levels were restored, and episodes of forgetfulness and absent-mindedness became significantly less frequent. He laughed and remarked, "Turns out I wasn't getting old, I was just dried out." Sometimes the true solution lies not in complex and expensive methods, but in something inconspicuous and long forgotten. Thus, before instinctively reaching for medication or scheduling an appointment with a specialist, it's worth asking yourself a fundamental question. Have I provided my body with the most essential things right from the start of the day? A glass of water might not seem significant at first glance, but its daily consumption truly holds the potential for colossal changes. And now, let's continue our narrative. The second habit is daily brisk walking. The next simple but extremely effective habit that can help mitigate the risk of developing up to 90% of known diseases is a regular brisk walk every day. Yes, walking. We're not talking about long-distance running, grueling special forces training, or climbing stairs with heavy loads, but simply purposeful, energetic walking. Nevertheless, it is one of the most powerful actions a person can take to maintain their body, especially after reaching the age of 60. Walking, it turns out, is not just mechanical movement. It's a process that stimulates blood circulation, activating natural rhythms that support the optimal functioning of the cardiovascular system, joints, and brain. If a person walks briskly for at least 15 to 30 minutes daily, they engage almost every system in their body. Heart rate increases, oxygen delivery to tissues improves, and muscles actively absorb sugar from the blood. This is especially valuable for the prevention and control of type 2 diabetes. However, the benefits of walking extend much deeper. One of the most underestimated effects of regular walking is its beneficial impact on memory and mental clarity. Scientific studies convincingly demonstrate that older adults who regularly take brisk walks have an increased volume in their hippocampus, a brain region directly linked to the formation and storage of memories. And we're not just talking about long-term memory, but also the kind that helps you remember names, upcoming appointments, and where you left your keys. When blood flows freely to the brain, neurons receive sufficient nutrition and oxygen, which promotes their activity and improves cognitive functions. What about cancer? Walking is certainly not a panacea for cancer, but regular physical activity significantly reduces the risk of several types of oncology: colorectal, breast, and endometrial. It helps normalize hormone levels, enhances immune surveillance, meaning the body more effectively recognizes and destroys mutated cells, and reduces inflammatory processes, the very internal environment that is favorable for the development of cancer cells. But here's the key point: walking must be mindful. A stroll through a shopping mall doesn't count as full physical activity. You need to actively swing your arms and walk at a pace that slightly quickens your breathing but still allows you to hold a conversation. If possible, it's recommended to walk outdoors. Sunlight and fresh air provide additional positive effects, but even indoor walking is beneficial. The main thing is not the location, but forming a consistent habit. Let me give an example of a woman named Ludmilla. She was 76 years old when she started taking daily walks. Her doctor recommended it due to her elevated cholesterol levels. Initially, she simply walked for 5 minutes around her house. After a couple of months, her test results significantly improved. She started sleeping better, smiling more often, and even returned to solving crosswords, which she had previously given up due to feeling brain fog. Walking cleared her mind, not only literally, but also figuratively. There's also an important psychological aspect. When a person goes for a walk daily, it gives them a sense of control over their own life. It's their personal choice. In a world where mobility, physical strength, and independence are inevitably lost with age, walking restores an inner strength, quiet but genuine. Therefore, if this habit isn't already part of your daily routine, now is the time to adopt it. It doesn't require a gym membership or special athletic wear. All you need are your own legs and a little determination. And now let's move on. The next habit might surprise you even more. The third habit is deep breathing and mindful calm. Among all the habits that are often ignored, this one might cause the most surprise. Yet, it is also one of the most powerful, daily deep breathing in a state of quiet and peace. Yes, that's right. Simply sit calmly, breathe deeply, and allow your mind to settle for at least a few minutes each day. This can have a colossal impact on the entire body, helping to lower blood pressure and inflammatory processes, strengthening the immune system, and protecting cognitive functions. Let's start with what happens in the body when a person breathes slowly and deeply, using the diaphragm rather than just the chest. This type of breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, also known as the rest and digest system. Cortisol, the stress hormone, decreases, heart rate slows, and inflammatory processes are reduced. And it is chronic inflammation that underlies most serious diseases: cancer, arthritis, and dementia. Many people over 60 live in a state of constant background stress. Even if everything seems calm externally, the body is tense internally. Worries about one's health, financial matters, children, loneliness, this quiet stress accumulates. Where does it manifest? In the condition of blood vessels, in the functioning of the immune system, and in the brain's memory centers. But this is precisely where the power of deep breathing lies. It interrupts this vicious cycle of stress. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day spent in silence with 4-4-4 breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, can literally reset the body's stress response. This one habit alone can significantly reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases, decrease inflammation, and improve mental clarity. Now, let's add mindfulness. This isn't a complex meditative practice or esoteric spiritual teaching. It's simply the ability to impartially observe the flow of your own thoughts without judgment. Combined with deep breathing, this action is like a refreshing shower for the brain, effectively clearing it of mental noise and information overload accumulated throughout the day. Especially for older adults who may experience feelings of loneliness, this habit can bring significant changes. It contributes to improved mood, normalized sleep, and a strengthened immune system by reducing chronic stress levels. As an example, consider Alexei, an 82-year-old man who had suffered from high blood pressure for over a decade. Medication provided only partial relief, and the side effects were exhausting him. His granddaughter introduced him to breathing exercises and the practice of quiet sitting. Initially, he was skeptical, but decided to try dedicating 10 minutes to it every morning before breakfast. After just 2 months, his blood pressure significantly improved. He became less irritable and more focused. He even managed to return to reading books he had previously abandoned due to fatigue and absent-mindedness. This isn't magic, it's pure biology. A person's breathing directly affects the vagus nerve, which serves as a link between the brain and major internal organs. Deep breathing improves digestion, normalizes heart rate, and reduces systemic inflammation. It's an extremely simple act, but it's as if it gives a person back control over their own body, which sometimes seems unpredictable. Breathing deeply and sitting calmly is not doing nothing. It's one of the most powerful actions you can take. It sends a clear signal to every cell in the body. You are safe. Everything is fine. You can heal. If you've never tried such a practice before, don't worry about achieving perfect results on the first try. Just sit down, start breathing slowly, and be kind to yourself. Allow thoughts to flow freely and the body to relax. Day by day, you'll notice your mind clearing, tension dissipating, and energy returning. This habit, when performed regularly, creates a strong foundation upon which all other beneficial habits function even more effectively. It calms internal chaos, giving the body the opportunity to perform its natural functions, to restore, cleanse, and thrive. The fourth habit is contact with cold water. This might sound a bit extreme, but this habit is steadily gaining popularity in circles focused on longevity and natural healing. And surprisingly, it's incredibly simple. It involves brief daily contact with cool water. This doesn't necessarily mean ice baths or swimming in icy holes, although such practices have their own benefits. A short daily exposure to cool water is sufficient. This could be a contrast shower or simply washing your face and hands with cold tap water. Why is this so important? When skin comes into contact with cold water, even for a short period, the body initiates a controlled stress response. blood vessels first constrict and then dilate, which significantly improves circulation. Simultaneously, heart rate slows and norepinephrine is released, a natural substance that helps reduce inflammation, improve mood, and enhance mental clarity. Simply put, cold awakens the body and makes it function more efficiently. Our ancestors constantly faced sharp temperature changes, and their bodies were perfectly adapted to such conditions. In a modern world, with warm apartments, cozy blankets, and long hot showers, we have become too dependent on comfort. However, an excess of comfort, paradoxically, reduces the body's resilience. Contact with cold water restores the body's adaptive capabilities, strengthens the vascular system, trains the body to respond flexibly to stress, and stimulates the lymphatic system, promoting more efficient toxin removal. And here's what's particularly interesting. Numerous studies confirm that regular brief exposure to cold helps reduce inflammation, significantly improves immunity, and lessens symptoms of depression. Of course, many might think, I'm over 70 and I'm not going to jump into a cold shower. And that's perfectly normal. There's no need to start with extreme methods. It's enough to turn on cool water for 15 seconds at the end of a warm shower, or simply wash your face and put your hands in cold water in the morning. The intensity of exposure isn't as important as its regularity. As an example, consider Galena, a 76-year-old woman who suffered from chronic joint pain and brain fog. Her grandson told her about the benefits of cold water. At first, she laughed, saying, "That's for young people," but then she decided to try it. She started ending her morning shower with a 30-second cool rinse. Initially, it was unpleasant, but after just 2 weeks, she noticed that her mind was clearer in the mornings. Her knees hurt less, and her mood significantly improved. She remarked, "It feels like I'm waking myself up, both body and soul." This is the power of cold. It pulls us out of sluggishness, restarting systems that slowed down with age. Such gentle but regular stimulation is a real boon for an aging body. The body doesn't need harshness, it just needs a gentle nudge. And cold water is one of the simplest and most effective ways to provide that nudge. Moreover, there is evidence that regular cold exposure contributes to an increase in brown fat, a beneficial type of fat tissue that actively burns energy and regulates blood sugar and body temperature. For older adults concerned about the risk of diabetes or excess weight, this is an additional and very significant bonus. The main thing here is not willpower, but curiosity. Try it for a week. A short cool shower or washing your face with cold water before breakfast. Observe how your well-being transforms, how circulation improves, and how your immune system strengthens. Sometimes the path to healing lies not in increasing medication or effort, but in returning the body to its natural, inherent rhythms. And cold water serves as a conduit, connecting us to these fundamental rhythms. It's not about discomfort. It's about being full of life. And now let's move on. The fifth habit is breathing rituals. Most people perceive breathing as automatic. Inhale, exhale, repeat. But what if I told you that how you breathe, especially after 60, can either contribute to disease or help the body heal? This habit is deceptively simple, but possesses immense power to transform physical and mental health from within. We're talking about deep, conscious breathing. And a quick clarification, we're not talking about complex yoga poses or hour-long meditations. We're talking about a daily breathing ritual, just 5 to 10 minutes of slow, deep inhales and exhales. The results are impressive. Blood pressure normalizes, memory improves, immunity strengthens, and the risk of stroke decreases. It sounds incredible, but it's confirmed by numerous scientific studies. Why does it work? When a person breathes with their diaphragm, rather than superficially with their chest, the body enters a state of rest and recovery. This is the complete opposite of the fight or flight mode, in which, unfortunately, many older adults constantly reside due to stress, loneliness, and anxiety. If a person breathes superficially for years, their body lives in a state of sluggish chronic stress. Cortisol levels, the anxiety hormone, remain elevated. Inflammatory processes intensify, and the nervous system becomes imbalanced. But just a few minutes of deep breathing a day can switch this mode. Stress levels decrease, blood becomes saturated with oxygen, circulation improves, and all organs, including the brain, begin to function more efficiently. Here's an example. Yuri, 81 years old. He had problems with memory and sleep. He tried supplements, gave up caffeine, solved puzzles. Nothing helped. Then his daughter showed him a simple 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. At first, he laughed, calling it some nonsense. But after a week, he started falling asleep faster. After a month, he began remembering phone numbers without writing them down. And after 3 months, his doctor noted an improvement in blood pressure without changing his medication. Science also confirms deep breathing improves the brain's neuroplasticity, meaning its flexibility, adaptability, and ability to think youthfully. This is especially important for older adults concerned about memory loss, the development of dementia, or difficulties with concentration. Simply put, the better a person breathes, the better their brain works. And not just the brain. Deep breathing provides a gentle massage to internal organs. When the lungs expand downward, they delicately stimulate the liver, kidneys, and intestines, which contributes to improved digestion, more efficient toxin removal, and better nutrient absorption. These are precisely the processes that slow down with age. And here's a particularly important point. Breathing helps older adults reconnect with their bodies. Many people over 70 report feeling disconnected from their bodies, as if it has become foreign and unpredictable. But just a few minutes a day to simply breathe consciously is an act of self-respect. It's a way of telling yourself, I'm still here. My body still matters. This doesn't require exercise equipment, special courses, or studios. You can simply sit in your favorite armchair, close your eyes, and take just 5 slow, deep breaths. Try to make the exhale slightly longer than the inhale. That's the secret. A long exhale tells the nervous system that everything is okay. You can relax, you can heal. Over time, this small habit helps reduce symptoms of anxiety, arthritis, digestive problems, chronic fatigue, and even supports heart health. It's like a fountain of youth, hidden in plain sight in something a person has always done but perhaps never fully utilized. If it ever felt like your health was out of control, start with breathing. It costs nothing, takes only a few minutes, but can change everything. How you feel, how you think, how you go through life at any age. The 6th habit is a stable sleep-wake schedule. Many older adults mistakenly believe that poor sleep is simply an inevitable part of aging that must be accepted. But what if I told you that going to bed and waking up at the same time every day is one of the most powerful actions you can take to prevent many diseases and even extend your life? This last habit may seem mundane, but it holds immense power, maintaining a stable sleep routine. Why is this so important? Because our body functions according to internal biological clocks, known as circadian rhythms, which regulate periods of wakefulness, the work of internal organs, mental sharpness, and immune system activity. However, with age, these biological clocks are easily disrupted, especially if a person goes to bed too late, naps at different times during the day, or wakes up at different times. When the rhythm is disturbed, everything suffers, from blood sugar levels to cognitive functions. But by going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends, we effectively restore and protect our biorhythm. When the body knows exactly what is expected of it, it can proactively release necessary hormones, effectively restore tissues during sleep, and control inflammatory processes. Modern scientific research confirms that irregular sleep is directly linked to the development of cardiovascular diseases, decreased cognitive abilities, and a weakened immune system. However, the good news is that you can start forming this habit today. Take, for example, Zenaida, 78 years old. For years, she suffered from insomnia and brain fog in the mornings. She tried various pills, herbal teas, warm baths. Nothing brought the desired results. Then her grandson, who was studying to be a doctor, advised her to go to bed and wake up at the same time, regardless of how well she slept. At first, she was skeptical, but after just 3 weeks, she started waking up without an alarm. Her energy returned. Even her arthritis attacks became less frequent and milder. Do you know why? Because when sleep becomes regular, the brain's lymphatic system, its internal cleaner, starts working more efficiently. It is this system that clears the brain of protein waste associated with Alzheimer's disease. And it does this only during deep sleep, and a regular schedule significantly facilitates reaching this crucial restorative phase. And that's not all. The hormones melatonin and cortisol begin to function at the right time. Melatonin promotes sleep, while cortisol supports alertness and immune balance. When their rhythm is disrupted, the classic problem arises. You want to sleep during the day, but you can't close your eyes at night. Many are familiar with this, but when a person establishes a routine, the body stops guessing what will happen next, and the sense of predictability reduces stress levels, which in turn has a beneficial effect on the heart, blood vessels, and digestion. Studies show that irregular sleep can be just as harmful as chronic sleep deprivation. So what to do? You need to choose a sleep time that allows you to sleep 7 to 8 hours and suits your body. Set a clear wake-up time and stick to it strictly, even if the night was restless. Avoid heavy meals and using electronic devices at least an hour before bed. Create your evening ritual. This could be listening to calm music, light stretching, or reading a book. Over time, your body will begin to recognize these signals as precursors to sleep, and falling asleep will become significantly easier. This habit may seem unremarkable, but it is fundamental. When sleep is regulated, the brain functions better, the heart becomes stronger, mood improves, and the body gets the opportunity to heal every night without pills, without cost, just through sleep. And now let's move on. Concluding thoughts. If you've read this far, you belong to a rare category of people. Those who are not just interested in health, but truly strive to live a full life every day. We've discussed 6 habits. Each one might seem simple on its own, but together they form a powerful foundation capable of changing the rest of your life. These are not fleeting trends or complex schemes. These are sustainable, time-tested habits based on scientific data and life wisdom. And here's the most important thing. With age, we gain more power over how we live. Too often, conversations about aging sound like a list of limitations. What we can't do, what we've lost, what's too late. But that's not the whole truth. In reality, the most joyful, healthy older adults are those who have chosen to take small steps every day. They didn't chase the illusion of eternal youth. They honored the life they already have. That's what these habits are about. Reclaiming energy, clarity, and dignity day by day. Perhaps you're thinking, can I really do this? And my answer is absolutely yes. Start with just one habit. Maybe today you'll take a morning walk, or drink a glass of water right after waking up, or go to bed earlier and at the same time. These small shifts create momentum, and with each right choice, your body responds. Your mind clears, confidence returns. You start to feel like yourself again. Not the version shaped by age or illness, but the one with purpose, strength, and presence. I've seen it happen again and again. A man in his 80s started consuming fermented foods, and his digestion and mood significantly improved. A woman who stretched every day felt mobility in her joints for the first time in years. People who thought it was too late to change still decided to make changes and discovered that life unfolded unexpectedly beautifully. And if you ever doubted your ability to recover, let me remind you, your body knows how to heal, your brain is capable of rewiring itself, and your spirit is still strong, no matter what. The question isn't whether change is possible, but whether you'll give yourself permission to try. You don't need to be perfect. You only need one thing: to be ready. Ready to listen to your body, ready to be kind to yourself. That's where true transformation begins. So, moving forward, I hope you remember the main point. You have far more control over your health than you think. And every time you choose one of these habits, you're choosing the future you want, a future with less pain, greater clarity, and profound joy.